Hey y'all, I'm Anna Ribbeck. I'm the marketing director at Banting's Nursery, and today I've invited Will Afton, LSU AgCenter County Extension Agent, out to help us talk about planting trees. And so now is a great time to plant trees in your Louisiana landscape. Why is November and December the best time to plant those trees in the landscape, Will?
We like to take advantage of the dormant season to plant our larger trees and shrubs in the landscape because, number one, we don't have to deal with heat stress, we don't have to deal with water stress, and by getting them planted early in the season, as soon as that soil warms up in the spring, we can take advantage of those warm temperatures and root development will start.
So let's go ahead. So we have a tree here that we are going to demonstrate how to properly plant a tree, because we've seen a lot of landscapes out there where trees and shrubs aren't planted correctly.
Well, the first thing we're going to do before even coming out here and planting our tree is we want to make sure that we're getting the right tree for the right place. So you need to look at the the mature heights of these different tree options you have. Look at things like proximity to other trees, power lines. Make sure that we're putting the right tree in that right place. But once we get to that point, the basic guidelines are pretty simple. So let's break some ground and see how this works.
And also, to start out with, for tree planting, you're going to need a hose, you're going to need a shovel, you're definitely going to need some gardening gloves to make sure your hands are protected.
We're going to dig our planting hole slightly shallow. We want the top of that root ball to be 1 to 2 inches above the soil grade, and then we want to dig the root or the planting hole 2 to 3 times as wide as that original root ball. All right, so now once we have our potting hole dug, it's time to place the plant into the planting hole. So this is a container grown Japanese magnolia. This is a 3-gallon size pot. We're just simply going to loosen the root ball and just pull it right on out. This thing is rooted pretty well. It's definitely not root bound. A lot of people will tease the root ball, try to loosen it up some, but I don't want to damage any of those new young roots that are growing down there, so I leave it completely alone. If you do have a tree that's root bound, you might want to go in and cut a few of those roots, because once they start to circle around the pot, they tend to do the same thing in your planting hole. So as you see here, we have our hole about 2 to 3 times as wide as this root ball. We're going to place it in. There we go. The top of my root ball is sitting slightly above soil grade, so I'm happy about that. All right, now we have the tree planted back in using all that backfill, and now I'm just going to go through and just kind of lightly press the soil down, making sure that top of that root ball is still slightly above the original grade of the yard or planting bed. I'm going to thoroughly irrigate the tree, and this will also help with kind of compacting that soil around there and filling in any voids. And now we're pretty much done with planting the tree. However, there's one last step that we need to follow, and that is we need to apply an organic mulch to cover this root zone there, and it's a way for us to provide that small area for that tree. It's going to help with water retention. It's going to help it'll kind of help insulate the soil, keep it warm during the winter time. It'll keep it cool during the winter time, and really, number one, it's going to help with some weed control. We're aiming for about a 2 to 4 inch layer of mulch to be effective.
All right, so Will, now that you've got it mulched and planted, I just have a question for you. There's a lot of people who come in asking, why should I fertilize the hole when I plant? How does that work?
Well, when you bought the plant, you'll notice there's actually fertilizer in the pot. So during the while that tree was growing in the nursery, they had it on a routine fertilizer schedule. So there's a lot of residual fertilizers there already. Plus, we don't want to go overboard and cause an issue where we burn plant roots, because we need that root system to establish. So I don't recommend fertilizing any newly planted tree or shrub within that first year. But once that tree does get an established root system, we can come in with a general all-purpose fertilizer. Something like 888 would be fine. And just remember to always water it in when you apply that fertilizer.
When do you recommend watering your new trees? Because that's very important.
Well, it's tough to tell everybody an exact schedule because everybody's soil, drains differently. So you want to make sure you're thoroughly soaking that root ball. So we want to make sure we're watering for long enough the water seeps all the way down. And then at the same time, we don't want to keep it wet. So we're allowing it to dry out. And then as soon as it does dry out, you can water it again. It's a lot better to water, more deeply yet infrequently than water every day.
So y'all follow those steps to make sure you have your tree or shrub planted properly. Don't forget, now is the time to plant, and nurseries, especially right now, will be stocking up with a lot of different trees for you to plant during November and December. So come out to the nurseries, get your trees, plant them right, and thanks, Will, for being here and showing us how to plant a tree.
Oh, well, definitely. Thanks for inviting me, Anna. Let's do it again.
All right, definitely. Bye, y'all.